All right, get ready for this one because we are diving deep today into some seriously potent astrology and tarot.
Mm-mm.
And this one is for all you Geminis out there. We're looking at Lorenzo's Karmic Tarastrology report. It's the full moon edition. And wow, this one's not messing around.
No kidding. Lorenzo is famous for his brutally honest predictions. When he brings together the planetary movements with his tarot card interpretations, his reports pack a punch, that's for sure.
Okay, so let's jump right in. Lorenzo starts off strong. He says, quote, "This upcoming lunation is blazing through your personal world, and it won't let you hide behind clever words or half-baked excuses."
Whoa. I mean, it sounds like the universe is saying it's time to get real. Like it's demanding authenticity, no more excuses, especially when it comes to home, your security, the future, all that stuff we tend to put off.
Right, he doesn't hold back. Then Lorenzo goes on to talk about the core energy of this full moon. He says, this full moon thrusts your hidden emotions to center stage. You've been ignoring or outright denying certain family or home-related issues. So what do you think jumps out there?
Well, this full moon is in Virgo.
Right.
And Virgo is all about order, analysis, getting things done. It makes sense that this lunation would shine a light on those practical matters, those areas where maybe we've been avoiding those, like especially those things related to home and family.
And Lorenzo does not let up. He goes on to say, enough. Everything you've tucked under the rug is about to be spotlighted. You might feel raw, exposed, even cornered.
It sounds intense, but it's a call to face those shadows, right? Even when it's uncomfortable, we all have those things we kind of sweep under the rug hoping they'll disappear. But the universe has other plans. Time to bring them into the light.
He's like that friend who gives it to you straight. He says, good, because you can't evolve if you keep burying your truths. This is a call to rip off the Band-Aid and get real. Yes or no. It's a big, fat yes.
I like his style. He is very direct, no room for doubt. This full moon is about growth, but that requires you to get honest with yourself and face the stuff you've been avoiding.
So next up, Lorenzo gets into the tension and opportunity section. And this one focuses on finances and values. He says, there's an energizing spark, forcing you to reassess your money, possessions, and self-worth.
This spark, how could that show up? Maybe an unexpected expense or a change in your income, or even just this aha moment about your spending habits. It's really taking a look at your relationship with money and how that reflects your values, your beliefs about yourself.
Yeah, and Lorenzo doesn't hold back here. He says, this particular energy is famous for blasting away weak foundations. So if you're clutching onto illusions about what you need or deserve, prepare for a smackdown. What do you think about that?
Cosmic reality check, right? This full moon, it's not here to coddle you. It's here to shake things up, force you to rebuild your finances on solid ground.
It's like tough love. He says, consider it tough love from the universe. It's pushing you to destroy the dead weight so you can rebuild on unshakable ground.
Yeah, like sometimes you have to let go of what's no longer serving you. That's how you create space for the good stuff, right? This could be a good time to reevaluate your budget maybe, or check out new income streams, or just become more mindful of your spending.
Absolutely. And for those Geminis out there who are hesitant to take action, Lorenzo has something to say about that too. He says, if you've been dithering on making bold moves with your finances or possessions, the answer is simple. Yes, do it. Stop stalling, because the fallout from inaction will be worse than any temporary discomfort.
Sometimes you got to take action even when it's uncomfortable. This full moon's offering a chance to build a secure and abundant future, but you got to seize the opportunity.
Yeah, you got to take the reins. Okay, so then Lorenzo shifts gears to your career and reputation. It's a section he calls the harsh reality check. He says, a stern cosmic force is daring you to meet your responsibilities head on, particularly in your public life or career.
That sounds a lot like Saturn.
Right. Saturn, the planet of structure, discipline, responsibility. Saturn can be a tough teacher, but the lessons are always valuable. This is about stepping up and owning your role in the world.
And no excuses. Lorenzo's very clear about that. He says, think karmic exam, pass or fail. This influence is done with your excuses. If you've been sloppy, half-committed, or letting fear stifle your ambitions, you'll be cornered into a make-or-break scenario.
Saturn demands integrity, accountability. Under this full moon, it's time to assess whether you're living up to your potential or your choices aligned with your highest aspirations.
It's a big question. He says the tension might feel relentless, but it's perfectly designed to force a decision. Step up and claim your place in the world, or step aside. Choose now, no middle ground.
We always have a choice, don't we? We can stay stuck in fear and inaction, or we can step into our power and create the life we want. This full moon's highlighting that choice. Okay, next up, Lorenzo talks about the radical shift. And this focuses on the psyche and letting go. He writes, a rebellious, liberating jolt streams into your subconscious, shattering old paradigms of what you thought was real.
This is where Uranus comes in.
Right.
Right? Uranus, the planet of innovation and unexpected change. Uranus is disruptive, liberating. It challenges our assumptions, pushes us out of our comfort zones.
It's a shakeup, for sure.
Yeah.
He says, you can't cling to outdated rules, societal, familial, or self-imposed without feeling suffocated. Don't fight it.
This is a time to recognize that letting go of the old makes space for the new. This can be a time for huge personal growth, but it takes a willingness to surrender.
Lorenzo says, this is your invitation to leap into the unknown, trusting that the net will appear. That takes a lot of courage.
It does. It's about having faith in yourself and in the universe, knowing you'll be supported even when things feel uncertain. This full moon is a cosmic push to get adventurous, take a chance on something new.
For those who might be feeling afraid, he says, yes, it's terrifying, but standing still is a slow death for your restless Gemini spirit.
So true. Geminis thrive on novelty and exploration, mental stimulation. Staying stuck can be soul-crushing. This full moon is an invitation to embrace that curiosity and take a leap.
He really drives this point home. He says, the cosmic blueprint says yes to throwing caution to the wind, yes to trusting your gut over everyone else's noise.
That's about reclaiming your power. Tune into that inner voice. Trust your judgment. The world might offer advice or try to steer you, but ultimately you have to choose the path that feels right for you.
Okay, next, Lorenzo explores this idea of the fog versus your calling. And this focuses on your public image and illusions that might be clouding your vision.
Yeah.
He says, an elusive influence has been clouding your professional life or your bigger calling.
This feels like Neptune. Neptune, the planet of dreams, illusions, and spirituality. Neptune can be so powerful for creativity and inspiration, but it can also create confusion, escapism, and blurry boundaries. With Neptune in Pisces, you might be feeling a bit lost or disillusioned when it comes to your career.
And he points to an illusion many Geminis might face. He says, maybe you've convinced yourself that your dream is too lofty or unrealistic.
It's easy to get caught up in self-doubt, right? Especially for Geminis. You're quick-witted and adaptable, but you can also overthink things. This full moon reminds you to challenge those negative beliefs and remember what you're capable of.
It's a battle between illusion and truth. Lorenzo says this push-pull is about illusions versus truth. The illusions are strong and dangerously comfortable.
Illusions are tricky. They can offer a false sense of security, make it easier to avoid facing the hard stuff. But holding on to illusions, well, that keeps you from living your full potential.
He reminds us that ignoring reality comes at a price. He says, but ignoring reality is self-sabotage. The cosmic axis demands clarity. Pick your vision, but ground it in something real. Indecision will cost you your momentum.
We have to make choices, even when it's tough. Indecision can be paralyzing. This full moon is calling for clarity and action.
For those Geminis wondering whether to chase that big dream, Lorenzo is very clear. He says, if you want a direct verdict on whether you should chase that seemingly unattainable dream, yes, but only if you commit 100%. Half-hearted illusions lead to dead ends.
It's a call to action, but it's also a reminder about commitment. Don't waste time and energy on half-hearted pursuits. Choose your path and give it your all.
Okay, so then we get into this tension between karmic growth versus karmic release. This focuses on the conflict between your public path and your personal roots. Lorenzo says, you're caught between what you must learn to become who you're meant to be and what you must let go of from your past.
This is about the North and South nodes. Right. The North node represents your soul's destiny, the direction you're meant to grow towards. The South node represents past karma, the patterns you're meant to release.
He describes this inner conflict in more detail. He says, one cosmic hotspot is pulling you toward big, bold, future-oriented goals, while another is hissing. You can't move forward if you're tethered to the old ways.
This sounds like there's potential for some inner turmoil. It's that feeling of being pulled in multiple directions, struggling to reconcile your desires with your responsibilities.
He translates this cosmic message. He says, translation, you're at a crossroads, forced to break free from the comfort zone that shaped you.
It's about recognizing how past experiences, those things from your family, your upbringing, they might be holding you back. This full moon is inviting you to examine those patterns and make conscious choices about what to keep and what to let go.
And for those who are wondering if it's time to detach from family trauma or ancestral baggage, Lorenzo says, if you're wondering whether it's time to detach from outdated family dramas or ancestral baggage, the short and brutal answer, Absolutely, yes. Stay stuck and you'll regret it.
It's a powerful opportunity to set boundaries, prioritize your own well-being. Holding on to unhealthy dynamics, repeating those ancestral patterns, well, that leads to pain and regret. It's time to break those cycles and create a healthier, more fulfilling future.
And now we're at the bottom line for Gemini. Lorenzo says this is a watershed moment, a karmic checkpoint where you can't pretend everything's fine. The cosmic forces are screaming, evolve or repeat.
This full moon is serious business. It's a pivotal moment, a time for honest self-reflection and a commitment to growth. The universe is telling you to step up and take responsibility.
He challenges any self-pity. He says, don't whimper about the universe being tough on you. This is the tough love you've secretly wanted. I love that.
We often resist change, don't we? Even when we know it's good for us. But this full moon is offering an opportunity for growth. Even if it's uncomfortable, it's about trusting that the universe has your back.
He ends this section with a powerful statement. He says, you're sharper and more capable than you give yourself credit for. Yes or no? It's a definitive yes to charging forward, shedding old fears, realigning your resources, and committing to those next-level ambitions.
It's about remembering your strength and resilience. This full moon is a call to embrace your potential. Take bold steps towards your dreams. Let go of the self-doubt and step into your power.
He reminds us why this matters.
Yeah.
He says, why? Because the alternative, clinging to illusions and outdated emotional crutches, will put you in a spiral of regret.
Actions have consequences. If we stay stuck in old patterns, avoid facing our shadows, we end up feeling dissatisfied, regretful. This is a chance to create a life that feels aligned and fulfilling.
No room for doubt here. He says, no maybes, you got to choose. Drop the past or get dragged by it. Launch that dream or watch it wither. Stand tall in your truth or let your illusions crush you.
This is a time for decisive action. We have the power to create the life we want, but we have to choose and commit fully.
He uses such incredible imagery to describe the intensity of this lunation. He says, no sugarcoating. This full moon is a ruthless spotlight. But it's exactly what you need to break your old patterns, stand in your power, and become the unfiltered Gemini force you were born to be.
It's a beautiful way to describe the transformative power of this full moon. It's time to embrace your true self, shed the masks, and step into who you are. The spotlight might feel intense, but it's illuminating the path to your highest potential.
All right, so next we're going to get into the nitty-gritty. We're going to see exactly how these energies are playing out astrologically. We'll unpack Lorenzo's breakdown of each sign, planet, aspect, and tarot card combo in the next segment. Stick around.
All right, welcome back. We are about to get into the nuts and bolts of this full moon, astrologically speaking. Let's see how this cosmic energy is really playing out.
I am so curious to hear what Lorenzo has to say about the specifics.
Yeah.
He starts off with, and it sounds pretty intense. He says, below is the straight-up, behind-the-scenes breakdown of each sign, planet, aspect, and the corresponding tarot card. So you can see exactly why the reading took the shape it did. No fluff, no holding back.
He's not messing around. Sounds like we're about to get the unvarnished truth.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yep.
Okay, so first up, the full moon. Lorenzo says 1, the full moon, High Priestess in Virgo, 10 of Pentacles, 4th house, the moon. Can you break this down for us? What's the significance of this particular combo?
Well, the full moon is in Virgo in your 4th house. That puts a huge emphasis on your emotional core, your sense of security. Virgo energy is all about practicality, improvement. It's like the universe is looking at your home life with a magnifying glass saying, okay, time to fix it or release it.
And he connects this to the High Priestess tarot card. He says, Astrology. A full moon in Virgo in the 4th house puts your emotional core and sense of security under a microscope. Virgo energy demands improvement and practical solutions, so anything neglected on the home front, 4th house, must be fixed or released. Tarot. The full moon is associated with the High Priestess intuition on overdrive, secrets revealed, heightened awareness.
The High Priestess, she represents intuition, inner wisdom, those mysteries of the subconscious. So with this card, along with that Virgo full moon in your 4th house, you might be experiencing like a surge in intuitive insights, especially about family dynamics or maybe those early childhood experiences. Pay attention to your dreams, those gut feelings you're having. They might be telling you something important.
He also brings up the 10 of Pentacles and the Moon card. He says, Virgo's corresponding card, the 10 of Pentacles, speaks of legacy, tradition, and material security. The 4th house's card, the Moon, highlights deep emotional undercurrents and family patterns, how they collide. You're forced to get real about ancestral baggage, daily routines, or your living situation. Emotional truths surface whether you want them to or not. The High Priestess demands you trust your gut. The Ten of Pentacles screams stability, and the Moon, fourth house, won't let you bury your feelings any longer.
So the Ten of Pentacles, that represents family, legacy, and material stability. It makes me think about your roots, your heritage. How did your upbringing influence your current sense of security and belonging? And then the Moon card, that's all about emotions, intuition, the subconscious. Put those cards together and the universe is saying, hey, it's time to face those deep emotional patterns that come from your family or childhood. No more hiding.
Some serious inner work ahead.
Okay.
Okay, so moving on. Lorenzo writes, 2. Sextile to Mars, the Tower. In Cancer, the Chariot. Second house, the Devil. Break that down for us.
Okay, so a sextile. A sextile is generally a harmonious aspect. That means the planets involved are working together, very supportive. In this case, we've got Mars. Mars is action and energy, and it's forming a sextile to the full moon. This could bring a surge of motivation, like a push to finally take action, especially when it comes to your finances and your values. Makes sense because Mars is in your second house.
So he says, astrology. A sextile to Mars brings a supportive push for action, especially around finances and values, second house. Cancer emotionality merges with Mars' fighting spirit, urging you to protect what you value. Tarot. Mars corresponds to the Tower. Sudden disruption, liberation from stagnation. Cancer pairs with the Chariot, driven action, emotional tenacity. The second house is linked with the Devil, showing where we can be overly fixated on material security or bound by limiting beliefs about money self-worth. How they collide. Expect sudden motivation, Tower, to break free, Chariots, from old financial or self-esteem hangups. Devil. This sextile says it's time to blow up weak money habits or outdated beliefs. No dithering act now or watch your comfort zone become a prison.
So there's the Tower card. That one can be a bit shocking, It represents sudden, unexpected change, often like a dismantling of old structures to make way for something new. It can feel like upheaval, but ultimately it's about liberation and breakthroughs.
So what are the Chariot and Devil cards that he mentions? How do those fit in?
The Chariot, that's willpower, determination, overcoming obstacles. So this aspect could bring this burst of energy to break free from those self-sabotaging behaviors around money or those limiting beliefs you might have.
Time to get your financial house in order.
Yeah, exactly. And then the Devil card, often we associate this card with our shadow self. Here, it's linked to your second house, so your values, your self-worth. This suggests that you might be grappling with those fears of scarcity or lack or, not feeling worthy of abundance. This Mars sextile is a call to confront those fears head on.
Okay. Next aspect, Lorenzo writes, 3. Opposition to Saturn, the world, and Pisces, the moon. 10th house, the judgment. Oppositions, now those are known for creating tension, right?
Yeah, definitely. An opposition is when planets are directly across from each other in the zodiac. It's this dynamic tension that can feel like a push and pull energy. Here we've got Saturn, the planet of discipline, responsibility. Saturn's opposing the full moon. And since Saturn is in your 10th house, the house of career and public image, this could bring up some challenges related to your ambitions, your reputation, your long-term goals.
He writes, astrology. Oppositions create tension. Saturn in Pisces in your 10th house is all about karmic responsibility in your career or public image. It's a reality check for your dreams, goals, and professional integrity. Tarot. Saturn pairs with the world, culmination, mastery, leveling up. Pisces is linked with the moon, intuition, illusions, and sometimes confusion. The 10th house corresponds to judgment, rebirth, accountability, life calling. How they collide. You might feel pulled between personal security, 4th house, and public duty, 10th house. The world wants completion. The moon can muddle clarity, and judgment demands you face the music. Translation. Are you stepping up in your career, or are you hiding behind illusions? Saturn here is merciless. Commit or quit.
So Saturn is all about hard work, structure, and those long-term rewards. With Saturn and Pisces in your 10th house, you might be feeling the pressure to step into a leadership role or take on more responsibility, or maybe it's finally time to make those big career moves you've been thinking about.
He mentions the world card. That sounds positive.
It is. The World card represents completion, fulfillment, accomplishment. It's the last card in the major arcana, and often means a big culmination of a cycle, a major milestone. So it could indicate that you're on the verge of achieving something huge in your career.
But he also brings up the moon and the judgment card.
Yeah.
What do those add to the mix?
So the moon card, it represents your emotional world, your intuition, the hidden parts of yourself, the subconscious. In Pisces, it suggests that there might be some illusions you're dealing with, or maybe a lack of clarity about your path, especially when it comes to your career.
And the judgment card.
Judgment is about awakening, reckoning, and stepping into your purpose. In the 10th house of career, it's a call to align your actions with your values and to make those choices that reflect your true calling.
Intense. Is there any relief with this opposition?
Well, Lorenzo does mention a trine next, which is generally a more harmonious aspect. Let's see what he has to say. He writes, 4. Trine to Uranus, the Fool, in Taurus, the Hierophant, 12th house, the Hanged Man.
Ah, Uranus, the planet of rebellion, unexpected change. This should be interesting.
Yeah, for sure. And a trine is an aspect of flow and ease, so this energy should feel supportive. He writes, Astrology. A trine is harmonious, so Uranus in Taurus flows easily with your full moon in Virgo. Both are earth signs, but Uranus is the planet of rebellion and innovation, especially in the 12th house of hidden realms. Tarot. Uranus is the Fool, leaps of faith, radical new starts. Taurus aligns with the Hierophant, traditions, values, systems. The 12th house is the Hanged Man, surrender, deeper spirituality, letting go of control. How they collide. An unexpected internal shift, Fool in the 12th, helps you break free from stubborn beliefs, Hierophant, and see life from a new angle, Hanged Man. Because it's a trine, the energy flows smoothly if you're open to dropping your guard and trusting the process. Expect aha moments that liberate you from mental prisons.
The Fool card. That one always makes me think of new beginnings, taking risks.
Right. The Fool is about embracing the unknown. Trust your intuition and step outside your comfort zone. And Uranus, that planet of sunny change, is in your 12th house, the house of spirituality and subconscious. This could be a time of huge inner transformation, like a spiritual awakening even.
But he also talks about the Hierophant, which is all about tradition and those established structures. How does that fit in here?
Yeah, so the Hierophant can represent the need to question those beliefs, those structures, especially the outdated ones, the ones related to your values and your belief systems. With Uranus forming a trine to this energy, it's like the universe is saying, hey, time to shake things up, break free from those old dogmas that are holding you back.
And the Hanged Man. That card always feels so mysterious.
It is. The Hanged Man is surrender, letting go, seeing things from a totally different perspective. In the 12th house, it's about releasing control, trusting the process, and being open to those new ways of seeing the world.
So even though this trine aspect feels supportive, there's still a challenge involved.
Oh yeah, transformation is rarely easy or comfortable. But this trine, the energy is flowing smoothly, so if you're willing to go with it, you can experience those breakthroughs and feel liberated.
All right. Let's hear what Lorenzo has to say about the next aspect. He writes, 5. Opposition to Neptune, the Hanged Man, in Pisces, the Moon, 10th house, the Judgment. Back to an opposition. And this one's with Neptune, the planet of dreams and illusions.
Neptune can be tricky to navigate. It's about transcendence, spirituality, boundless imagination. But it can also bring confusion, escapism, those blurry boundaries. Neptune in Pisces, opposing the full moon in your 10th house of career, you might be feeling a bit lost or disillusioned about your professional path.
Lorenzo says, Astrology, another opposition in the 10th house. Neptune in Pisces can blur boundaries, create illusions, or spark profound spiritual insights regarding your career or public image. Tarot. Neptune resonates with the Hanged Man, surrender, introspection. Pisces again is the Moon, mystery, potential confusion. The 10th house remains judgment, reckoning, life's bigger calling, how they collide. Confusion about your professional direction or life mission might peak under this full moon. The tension between your private self, 4th house, and your public persona, 10th house, intensifies. Neptune demands compassion and surrender, but watch out for rose-colored glasses that keep you stuck in daydreams. Judgment says illusions won't cut it anymore. You either step into your true calling or face the fallout.
With this opposition, you might have a lot of questions about your direction, especially about your career. Be mindful of those escapist tendencies. Make sure you're staying grounded in reality. Are you truly passionate about your work, or are you settling for something safe that's ultimately unfulfilling?
So a reality check for your dreams.
Exactly. Time to get real with yourself about what you want and make sure your actions are aligned with your purpose.
This full moon really wants you to get real with yourself.
It does. And that theme continues in the next aspect Lorenzo discusses. He says, 6. Opposition to the North Node, the star, in Pisces, the moon, 10th house, the judgment. Still in opposition, but this time with the North Node, which represents our destiny and karmic path.
So tell us about this opposition. What's going on here?
Well, the North Node in Pisces suggests that your soul's purpose somehow connects to compassion, creativity, spirituality, or a connection to something bigger than yourself. But the full moon opposing this from your 10th house, that house of career, there could be some tension between following your heart and the reality of your work life.
Lorenzo says, Astrology. The North Node in Pisces in the 10th house is your karmic forward path. But an opposition from the full moon suggests friction between personal comfort zones and the bigger destiny you're meant to fulfill. Tarot. The North Node correlates with the star, hope, destiny, future vision. Pisces is the moon, deep intuition, possible escapism. The 10th house again is judgment, purpose, accountability, how they collide. The star is your potential future, calling you to trust the bigger picture. But the moon in Virgo, 4th house, is screaming for emotional security. The friction. You might resist stepping into your public mission because it feels uncertain. The cosmos is blunt. Face your fears or miss the boat on your destiny.
This could manifest as a fear of success or not wanting to embrace your full potential. You might be worried about what others will think or afraid to get out of your comfort zone.
So play it safe or take a leap of faith. That's the question.
Exactly. And the star card that represents the North Node reminds us that we have the potential to do amazing things if we trust the process and step into our power.
Last aspect Lorenzo discusses. 7. Conjunction to the South Node, the Devil, in Virgo, the Hermit. 4th house, the Moon. This one involves the South Node, which represents past karma. What's the meaning of this conjunction?
Okay, a conjunction happens when planets are in the same sign. It amplifies their energies. The South Node is conjunct to the full moon in your 4th house. This is highlighting the need to work through those unresolved issues from your past, those things related to family, your childhood, your sense of security, all that good stuff.
He says, Astrology. A conjunction to the South Node in Virgo in the 4th house indicates a karmic clearing of past patterns, especially around family, your childhood programming, and your sense of safety. Tarot. The South Node associates with the devil, temptation, entrapment, old baggage. Virgo is the hermit, introspection, self-analysis. The 4th house is the moon, deep emotional roots, how they collide. The devil plus the hermit says you're wrestling with toxic cycles or limiting beliefs born from your past. You're asked to step away from destructive comfort zones. This is karmic housekeeping. Either you purge these attachments or it'll keep haunting you. So what are your thoughts on this?
The Devil card, right? It can represent our shadow self, the parts of ourselves we don't want to look at. Here, it suggests that you might be wrestling with unhealthy attachments, addictions, maybe some self-sabotaging behaviors that stem from your past. It's time to dig deep.
And what about the hermit card?
The Hermit is a call for solitude, introspection. Take a deep dive into your inner world. It's time to reflect on the past, see how it's shaping your present, and make conscious choices about what you want to bring with you into the future.
So we're talking about facing your demons, cleaning up the baggage that's holding you back.
Exactly. This is an opportunity for healing and release. Break free from the chains of the past and create a future that is truly aligned with your true self.
Lorenzo then moves on to summarize the big picture of all these different influences. He says, put all these puzzle pieces together and you get a full moon that spotlights both your personal and professional life you're dealing with. Emotional and home foundations, 4th house versus career and public image, 10th house, stability and tradition, earth signs, Virgo Taurus, versus spiritual vision and surrender, Pisces, karmic North Node, the star calling you forward, versus South Node, the devil pulling you back.
So we've got this duality going on, right? Balancing the inner world with the outer world, your past with your future, your need for security with the desire for growth and fulfillment.
He lists out each tarot card of what it means in this reading. He says every tarot card adds another layer. High Priestess, full moon, intensifies your intuition and reveals hidden truths. 10 of Pentacles, Virgo, underscores your craving for tangible security and legacy. The moon, 4th house in Pisces, symbolizes emotional depth, sometimes confusion, illusions. And the Tower, Mars, lasts through stagnation, forcing swift action. The Chariot, Cancer, demands tenacious forward movement. The Devil, 2nd house in South Node, warns of being chained to material fears or old habits. The World, Saturn, enforces karmic lessons, culminating cycles in your ambitions. Judgment, 10th house, calls you to step up or be left behind. The Fool, Uranus, triggers unexpected leaps of faith, urging you to trust the unknown. The Hierophant, Taurus, challenges you to question outdated belief systems. The Hanged Man, Neptune, 12th house, demands surrender, a shift in perspective and release of illusions. The Star, North Node, points to the future you must embrace if you want to grow. The Hermit, Virgo, is your nudge to reflect deeply on all these patterns. What do you make of all this?
It's a lot, isn't it? So much symbolism. This reading is about introspection action and a willingness to embrace both the light and shadow sides of ourselves. It's a lot to process, but it's so empowering to have this kind of insight into what's going on cosmically.
A cosmic wake-up call. All right, so now we're on to Lorenzo's brutally honest conclusion. And he doesn't hold back. He says, brutally honest conclusion, Lorenzo style. You can't tiptoe around this cosmic lineup. All signs, planets, and tarot archetypes are screaming the same message. Evolve or repeat.
It's like he's saying, this full moon is not the time for playing it safe or doing things halfway. You have to step into your power and make those choices that align with your highest self.
Yeah, no kidding. He goes on to say, your illusions about home, career, or finances will crumble. The karmic moment has arrived. Either you face your baggage or it swallows you whole. Each aspect is a cosmic push, demanding clarity and hard decisions. Yes or no? This is a resounding yes to confronting your past, adjusting your values, and risking radical change for the sake of authentic growth. Why? Because clinging to old patterns, Devil's South Node, only leads to regret and stagnation. No sugarcoating. If you refuse to act, the fallout is inevitable. The Tower and the World combined with the North Node versus South Node tension means destiny is at stake. The takeaway: stand up, own your life, and chase your highest calling now. You've seen how each planet, sign, and tarot card weaves into one colossal wake-up call. Ignore it if you want, but the price is steep. If you're gutsy enough to take the leap, this full moon in Virgo, High Priestess meets Ten of Pentacles, offers a shot at genuine transformation. It's not subtle, it's not polite, it's raw, and it's real just like you need it to be.
The stakes are high, right? This full moon is an opportunity to break free from limitations, step into your truth, and create a life that's truly aligned with your purpose. But it takes courage, honesty, and a willingness to do the work.
Sounds like so much potential for growth and transformation, but it's not going to be easy.
No. This full moon is a catalyst for change, and change can be messy, uncomfortable, but the key is to embrace the process, trust your gut, and remember that you're not alone in this.
So Lorenzo moves on to a story called A Story of Two Paths Colliding to illustrate the themes of this full moon. It's about a traveler named Gem, and I'm thinking this represents the Gemini listener.
Yeah, I think you're right. I bet this story is going to bring all these complex astrological concepts to life in a way that's easy to relate to. Let's hear it.
So Lorenzo kicks off this story with a traveler named Gem, and he's living in this cramped, dim house. It sounds like a metaphor for feeling stuck, weighed down by the past. Lorenzo says, a story of two paths colliding. There was once a restless traveler named Gem. He lived in a modest house that had grown cramped and dim. Every wall whispered secrets he didn't want to hear, and every corner held a memory he refused to face. Yet he stayed too comfortable in his familiar cage to break out.
This is so that fourth house energy, right? Jem's house, it's his emotional foundation, and it sounds like it needs some work.
Big time. Gem is holding on to all this emotional baggage, and he doesn't want to deal with it. But then things change. Lorenzo writes, one night, a brilliant moon rose overhead, shining so intensely it cut through the gloom inside his little home. In that stark light, Gem's complacency was torn open. He saw the peeling paint, the cracks in the foundation, the suffocating clutter. For the first time, he admitted, I need to fix what's broken, or I'll never feel safe again.
That's the full moon in Virgo shining a light on all the areas of his life that need attention. He can't ignore it anymore.
A classic wake-up call. And then Lorenzo introduces another force into the story. He says, just as Gem started to put his home in order, a fiery gust of energy blew in from a neighboring land. A force of action, unstoppable and unapologetic, roared, stop waiting, move. It slammed into Gem's carefully stacked coins, toppling them everywhere. Why cling to stale investments and outdated beliefs? The voice raged. Shocked, Gem watched his little illusions about enough money crumble, but the chaos felt weirdly liberating. He realized, I need to tear down my old system if I ever want to feel worthy.
This feels so much like Mars in Cancer, right? That push to take action and face those financial limitations. It's about letting go of those old ways and creating a new relationship with money, with your self-worth.
Like, sometimes we just need that push to get out of our comfort zone. But then a new character. Lorenzo writes, on the opposite horizon loomed a stern authority. It had the weight of destiny behind it, and it was all about accountability. It observed Gem's life like an unyielding judge. I see your ambitions. Are you actually living up to them? Or do you hide in your house, daydreaming and calling it preparation? Gem felt exposed. He'd boasted big plans but rarely followed through. This force allowed no pity. Step up or watch your dreams dissolve. Choose now. Gem recognized this was his karmic exam. Pass or fail, no in between. The choice was terrifying.
That's Saturn in Pisces, 10th house energy, right?
Yeah.
Demanding that he step up and take responsibility for his career, his public image, aligning his actions with his aspirations.
Huge stakes. Lorenzo continues. Then, from the hidden corners of his mind, a wild trickster breezed in. It promised liberation, provided Gem was willing to leap without a net. If you keep regurgitating your family's beliefs or the rules you were taught, you'll never see the bigger picture, it whispered. Something clicked in Gem. He'd been anchored by old dogmas and fear of the unknown. Suddenly throwing everything in the air sounded thrilling. He felt a wave of relief. Maybe surrendering to the unexpected was better than rotting in certainty.
Uranus in Taurus for sure. Embracing change, breaking free from those limiting beliefs, and trusting his intuition.
Yeah, it's surrendering to the unknown and opening yourself up to those exciting possibilities. But then, Lorenzo writes, across the main road, illusions beckon smooth voices singing of grand, hazy visions. A shimmering mirage teased, forget practical steps, just dream, just drift. For a moment, Jem considered giving in. Escapism felt easier than confronting real obstacles.
Ugh.
But a loud cosmic alarm rang. Enough illusions. If you keep chasing mirages, your true calling will pass you by. Jem's chest tightened. He realized daydreaming wasn't noble. It was an escape from facing the tasks that spelled real success.
Classic Neptune in Pisces. The temptation of escapism and illusions. Stay grounded, focused, and take those practical steps towards your goals.
Yeah, dreams are important, but they need action to come to life. So now, Jem is at a crossroads, Lorenzo says. Meanwhile, fate was calling Jem from a lofty tower where future opportunities and recognition glimmered. It demanded he ascend, yet the ties of his past yanked him backward. You're meant for more, the future called, but you owe loyalty to the old ways, the past hissed. Jem stood at the crossroads, uncertain whether to cling to dusky comfort or march into the unknown. The tension was excruciating, but a deeper voice boomed, grow or repeat. He felt the stark ultimatum like a punch to the gut. Move forward now or forever remain stuck. That's the North Node and South Node tension right there. Destiny calling him forward, but that pull of the past is so strong. Comfort versus growth. And then he faces his fear. Lorenzo writes, in that moment, Jem noticed a shadow at his side, an entity that had been feeding on his doubts since childhood. It thrived on guilt, shame, and the illusion that he wasn't ready. Why break free? This is who you've always been, the shadow whispered. Jem, at last fed up, roared, I won't be defined by old baggage anymore. With a bold sweep, he banished the shadow. He was done letting it dictate his choices.
What a moment. Jem choosing to break free from those limitations and embrace his potential.
Stepping into his power. And Lorenzo says, no more waffling, no more illusions. He packed his meager belongings, sold what no longer served him, and placed a final lock on the door of the old, broken house, promising himself that if he ever returned, it would be with real solutions, not empty talk. He turned his gaze to the bright tower in the distance, the place that symbolized his higher calling. The stern judge was still there, testing his resolve. The wild trickster cheered from the sidelines, and the illusions that once enticed him faded into nothing. Now it was do or die, yes to transformation, or remain a prisoner of comfort forever. Jem stepped forward without hesitation. He marched toward his destiny head high, illusions shattered. The unstoppable wave of new beginnings surged around him, and for once, he embraced the chaos. Wow, what an image.
It's inspiring. He chooses growth, even though it's scary. He leaves the familiar behind and steps into the unknown.
And Lorenzo wraps up the story saying, moral of the story, no turning back. When the cracks in your life become undeniable, fix them or abandon them. Stalling only amplifies the inevitable collapse. No illusions. Dreaming is fine, but illusions will strangle you if you never act. Choose or lose. At the crossroads of destiny, there's no half-hearted stance. Leap into the unknown or get chained to the past. In the end, Jem's journey shows there's no maybe. It's yes to facing your demons, yes to reclaiming your worth, and yes to forging that next chapter, no matter how brutal the truth may be.
This moral really sums it up perfectly. Honesty, courage, decisive action, no staying stuck in the past, clinging to those illusions. We have to choose growth.
Then Lorenzo throws in this twist. He calls it the unseen bombshell. He says, the unseen bombshell. Here's the gritty, rarely mentioned twist under this full moon cycle. Your body may literally rebel if you keep clinging to past illusions, especially illusions about your family or childhood. Fourth house territory. I've never heard an astrologer put it like this before.
It's so interesting, right? He's connecting the emotional and psychological stuff to physical manifestations.
He goes on to say, most astrologers and tarot readers focus on the emotional ramifications. But the hidden whammy is this. Virgo rules digestion and assimilation. When the cosmic spotlight hits that zone, any junk, emotional or physical, you refuse to process can somatize, manifesting as gnawing gut issues, persistent fatigue, or weird food intolerances.
Our minds and bodies are connected. Those emotional issues can become physical symptoms.
And he connects it back to the second and 10th house energies, saying why? Because this isn't just a mental or spiritual standoff, it's cellular. You're holding on to ancient baggage so tightly that it's clogging up your systems, literally. The sextile from that fiery, action-packed energy around your finances, second house, is telling you, transform your self-worth and clear your body, or watch your resources stay stuck, your confidence tank, and your home life fester. Meanwhile, The stern karmic force in your public arena, 10th house, has a hidden link to watery illusions, Pisces, meaning mold-like patterns could be creeping into your career or reputation if you're not vigilant. Think of them as energetic water leaks. Little illusions, resentments, or guilt you've been ignoring that bubble up into real-life consequences like unexplainable mistakes at work or a sneaking sense you're on the wrong path.
So if we don't deal with our emotional stuff, it can affect our finances, our career, our health.
And then he says, the biggest wow most overlook. If you find yourself dealing with random physical symptoms, gut flares, insomnia, allergic reactions, this full moon insists it's not random at all. It's your body echoing the illusions you're clutching. What you eat, how you digest emotions, and your willingness to uproot generational drama are intimately tied. Until you clear the emotional rot, 4th house, and illusions about your ambition or public calling, 10th house, your body may keep throwing red flags. That is a huge connection.
Pay attention to those messages our bodies are sending us. Those symptoms might be a sign to look deeper.
He finishes this section with a call to action saying, bottom line, this full moon is not just a psychological purge, it's an all-systems check. Refuse to address your past, and it shows up as a financial pinch, career chaos, or even physical ailments. The universe is tired of your half-truths and spiritual bypasses. If you don't own the mess, your body will do it for you. So yeah, the stakes are higher than you realize. That's the hidden bombshell no one else is telling you. Embrace the gritty truth or risk wearing it on and in your body.
So we have to take a holistic approach to our well-being. Mind, body, and spirit. They're all connected.
Absolutely. And then Lorenzo offers some tools for working with this energy. He talks about journal prompts, ritual ideas, affirmation techniques, a 2-week action plan, and then he wraps it up with a final word.
I like that. He's giving us information and then empowering us to make a change.
So for journal prompts, he suggests exploring the illusions that we might be feeding into in our personal life, our family life, how we sabotage our value and financial well-being, where we might be refusing to own those public responsibilities or those higher goals we have, and then what are those repetitive patterns from our past that we need to let go of?
Journaling is so helpful for gaining that clarity and understanding those patterns. A powerful tool for transformation.
For ritual ideas, he talks about a gut check purge, to let go of emotional clutter, a write and burn ritual to release negative thoughts and beliefs, and then a self-worth donation to help us reprogram for abundance.
Rituals are great for creating that sacred space for transformation, solidifying our intentions.
Then, for affirmation techniques, Lorenzo suggests using an instant disruption statement to challenge those negative thoughts that come up. A 3-part mirror mantra to affirm our power and commitment to the truth. And then a grounding breath check to help us invite clarity and release those illusions.
Love those affirmations. It's all about reprogramming our subconscious, creating those positive beliefs.
And then the 2-week action plan. He encourages making journaling, rituals, and affirmations part of your daily routine. And then to take action. Purge something from your life that is no longer serving you.
Put those tools into practice and make a real change.
And lastly, his final word reminds us that healing and clearing are messy, so we got to embrace the discomfort and trust the process.
Transformation isn't always easy or comfortable, but it's so worth it.
Well, that was a lot. Lorenzo's full moon report. It was intense, insightful, and I hope it was empowering for you, our Gemini listener. This full moon is a huge opportunity to shed that old skin, confront your shadows, and step into your future.
Trust your intuition. Listen to your body and take action. You've got this.
Thanks for joining us. Until next time, keep shining.